The air in the briefing chamber felt recycled, stale, thick with the tension that always preceded a mission where the stakes were measured in planetary lives. Harren shifted his weight, the worn synth leather of his chair groaning softly beneath him. He kept his gaze fixed on the holographic display dominating the center of the room, a swirling nebula of data points coalescing into the grim reality of their current crisis. General Thorn, his face a mask carved from granite and sleepless nights, paced before the display, his boots echoing faintly on the polished durasteel floor. Project Chimera. Thorn's voice was low, gravelly, cutting through the low hum of the chamber's environmental controls. Top secret biological agent developed at the Lyra, the sixth outpost. Highly classified, highly volatile. He gestured towards a blinking red icon on the display, pinpointing a remote sector designated Zeta 9. Intel confirms the primary research lab on Zeta 9 was compromised 72 standard hours ago. Facility destroyed. Personnel unaccounted for. Presumed lost. Cole leaned forward slightly. He knew the protocols, the sanitized language that often masked horrific truths. Compromised by whom? General. Thorn stopped pacing, his eyes locking onto Cole's. Unknown hostile force. Analysis of the energy signatures from the attack is inconclusive. Advanced tech. Non-human origin almost certain. What matters is what they took. The display shifted, showing the complex molecular structure of the Chimera agent. This wasn't just taken, Harren. It was stolen, purposefully extracted. The weapon's capability, Cole asked, already anticipating the answer. Bioweapons were the dirty secret of interstellar conflict, officially condemned. Secretly refined, Chimera targets specific genetic markers, Thorn explained, his voice tight. It identifies inherent weaknesses, vulnerabilities within a species' genome, and exploits them. Rapid cellular degradation. Systemic failure. Theoretically, it could wipe out a targeted population with terrifying efficiency, leaving others completely unharmed. He paused, letting the weight of his words sink in, including, potentially, our own. A cold knot formed in Cole's stomach. He'd seen the aftermath of lesser biological agents, the silent, empty cities, the lingering fear that poisoned the very air. A weapon that could be tuned to humanity itself was an existential threat, and Zeta 9 was the only facility. The only one developing Chimera at this stage. Yes. Security was absolute, or so we thought. Thorn's fist clenched. The thieves knew exactly what they were looking for and how to get it. They bypassed multi-layered energy shields, quantum entanglement locks, biosignature scanners. This was professional. Surgical. Objective. Cole kept his voice level, pushing aside the rising dread. Recover the Chimera sample. Harren. At all costs. Identify the thieves, ascertain their intentions, and neutralize the threat. This is a Tier 1 Alpha directive. Failure is not an option. Thorn stepped closer, lowering his voice further. Intel suggests they might be heading towards the Outer Rim territories, possibly Meridian Station. Lawless space. Black markets thrive there. If Chimera gets loose, or worse, sold. He didn't need to finish the sentence. Cole nodded slowly. Meridian Station, a cesspool of smugglers, pirates, and information brokers clinging to a hollowed-out asteroid, operating beyond the reach of formal galactic law. A perfect place to lose something, or sell it to the highest, most ruthless bidder. Understood. General. Solo insertion. Affirmative. You'll have the Nightfall, Thorn said, referring to Cole's heavily modified stealth courier ship. Fast.shielded. Minimal signature. Get in. Get the package. Get out. Avoid engagement unless necessary, but prioritize recovery above all else. The fate of Earth, perhaps more, rests on this. Cole stood, the chair groaning again. The weight of the mission settled onto his shoulders, familiar yet heavier this time. He was Special Agent Cole Harren, Earth Sphere Directorate, First Response Division. He was the scalpel sent in when blunt force failed, the shadow that moved where fleets could not. He was often Earth's last line of defense. "I'm wheels up in 30. Godspeed, Harren," Thorne murmured, turning back to the swirling, ominous data on the display. The nightfall sliced through the void, its quantum drive leaving barely a ripple in space-time. Cole sat strapped into the pilot's chair, the cockpit dark, save for the soft glow of essential instrumentation. Zeta 9 appeared on the main viewer, a scarred, pockmarked moon orbiting a dying gas giant. Debris fields glittered around it, remnants of whatever brutal conflict had occurred here. Scans confirmed Thorne's report. The primary research facility was little more than a cratered ruin, radiating residual energy signatures consistent with advanced weaponry. He brought the Nightfall down through the thin, corrosive atmosphere, landing silently in a jagged canyon miles from the destroyed lab, relying on the ship's camouflage systems to blend into the desolate landscape. The air outside was thin, acrid, tasting of dust and chemical decay. Donning his environmental suit, Cole checked his sidearm, a compact plasma pistol, and slung a sensor pack over his shoulder. The silence was oppressive, broken only by the whisper of the wind through shattered rock formations. Movement was slow, cautious. His suit's sensors swept the area, detecting faint power fluctuations near the ruins, but no life signs. The approach took nearly an hour, navigating treacherous terrain under the dim alien sky. The lab complex had been vast, built partially underground. Now, twisted girders clawed at the sky like metallic bones. Plastisteel walls melted and warped, gaping holes revealing scorched interiors. The destruction was absolute, carried out with ruthless precision. Cole accessed the ruined facility through a collapsed maintenance tunnel, the air thick with the smell of ozone and burnt insulation. Emergency lights flickered sporadically, casting long, dancing shadows that played tricks on the eyes. His boots crunched on shattered transparisteel and debris. He moved deeper, following the faint energy readings his sensor pack detected, heading towards what his schematics identified as the primary biocontainment vault. It was there, amidst the wreckage of reinforced vault doors blown inward, that he found the first sign of activity since the attack. A small, sophisticated Zarethian data probe, humming softly as it scanned the environment. Cole froze. Zarethians. The Zareth Conclave were a powerful, enigmatic species from the Sculptor Galaxy arm, known for their advanced technology, rigid social structure, and highly effective intelligence network. They rarely interfered directly in human affairs, preferring observation and subtle manipulation. Their presence here was unexpected and deeply concerning. He drew his pistol, advancing slowly, using the debris for cover. The probe detected him instantly, emitting a sharp high-frequency pulse before a beam of focused energy lanced out, impacting the wreckage near his head. Cole dodged back, the air sizzling where the beam had struck. He fired a single shot, disabling the probe's primary sensor array. It wobbled, its energy beams sputtering erratically. Then, a figure emerged from the shadows deeper within the vault chamber. Tall, slender, clad in form-fitting Zarethian combat armor that shimmered with active camouflage, momentarily blending into the ruined background. The helmet was angular, insectoid, hiding the face, but the movements were fluid, economical, deadly. The figure held a Zareth pulse rifle, leveled directly at him. "Identify yourself." "Human." The voice was female, filtered through the helmet's vocoder, carrying a distinct Zarethian inflection. Crisp and precise, devoid of emotion. "Special Agent Cole Harren, Earth Sphere Directorate," Cole replied, keeping his weapon trained on the figure. He stayed behind cover, judging the distance, the angles. "You're trespassing in a restricted human sector. State your purpose." "My purpose is the same as yours, Agent Harren," the Zarethian stated. "To understand what occurred here, and to secure the asset that was stolen." Cole narrowed his eyes. "Project Chimera. You know about it." It wasn't a question. The Zareth Conclave monitors significant technological developments across known space. A bioweapon of Chimera's potential does not go unnoticed. The figure took a step forward, rifle steady. "I am Xelira, intelligence operative. Zareth Conclave Special Assignments Directorate. We detected the energy signature of the attack and the subsequent theft. We believe the agent poses a threat not just to your species, but to galactic stability." "Convenient," Cole retorted, suspicion hardening his voice. "You show up just after the facility is hit and the weapon is gone. How do I know the Conclave wasn't involved?" A flicker of something, perhaps amusement or irritation, entered the synthesized voice. "If the Conclave desired the Chimera agent, Agent Harren, we would not have left such obvious evidence of our presence, nor would this facility merely be ruined. It would cease to exist. Along with this entire moon, my orders are parallel to yours: recovery and threat assessment." Cole considered her words. Zarethian logic was often infuriatingly direct, but rarely dishonest by its own standards. Still, trust was a luxury he couldn't afford. "Parallel orders don't make us allies. Operative." "Indeed," Xelira conceded. "However, the entity responsible for this attack and theft possesses technology capable of breaching both human and Zarethian security protocols. They operate with a level of sophistication that suggests a significant, previously unknown power. Logically, our objectives align in confronting this mutual threat." She lowered her rifle slightly, a gesture of calculated de-escalation. "We are both seeking the same needle in the same galactic haystack. Cooperation would increase the probability of success for both of us." Cole remained skeptical. An alien intelligence operative, an assassin by reputation, if the whispers about the Special Assignments Directorate were true, suggesting cooperation. It felt like a trap, but she was right about the efficiency of the attack. And finding Chimera before it could be unleashed or sold was paramount. Trying to outmaneuver a Zarethian operative while also hunting the thieves seemed like a recipe for failure. "What do you propose?" "A temporary alliance," Xelira said. "We pool our intelligence, share resources where applicable, coordinate our search. The first priority is locating the stolen agent. Once secured, the disposition of the Chimera sample can be negotiated between our respective commands." Negotiated. Cole knew what that meant. A diplomatic term for a potential standoff, or worse. But securing it had to come first. He holstered his pistol slowly, deliberately. "All right, Xelira, temporary alliance. But any deviation, any hint of betrayal, and this arrangement is terminated." "Understood." "Perfectly," Xelira replied. She retracted her helmet with a soft hiss, revealing her face. Zarethians possessed sharp, angular features, large, dark eyes that seemed to absorb the light, and skin with a subtle, iridescent sheen, hinting at complex subdermal layers. Her expression was unreadable, disciplined, but her eyes held an intensity that belied the calm exterior. "Shall we begin by examining what remains of this vault? Perhaps the thieves left a trail, however faint." They worked together in silence for a time, the tension between them a palpable thing in the ruined chamber. Cole used his sensors to analyze residual energy signatures, particulate matter, anything the initial Zareth probe might have missed. Xelira moved with uncanny grace, her sophisticated scanners integrated into her suit, examining structural damage, searching for non-human biological traces. The vault's internal logs were wiped, Cole reported, accessing a shattered console interface. Complete data purge, expertly done. But the attackers used a localized high-energy plasma charge to breach the final door. The heat signature is still dissipating. It's powerful, but focused. Not standard military tech. Agreed, Xelira murmured, kneeling beside a piece of warped metal plating. My sensors detect microfragments embedded in the breach point. A complex alloy. Unknown composition. Trace elements suggest origin beyond the Perseus arm. She looked up at him, her dark eyes analytical. Whoever they are, they possess advanced metallurgical and energy manipulation capabilities. Cole ran the alloy composition through the Nightfall's remote database link. No matches in any known registry, military or civilian. Could be pirates, a well-equipped mercenary group. Possible, but unlikely, Xelira countered. The precision, the understanding of both human and potentially Zarethian security protocols. This suggests state-level intelligence, or a non-state actor with extraordinary resources and knowledge. She stood up, her movements economical. The energy signature from the initial attack on the facility's outer defenses also contained anomalies. Phased particle bursts, designed to circumvent kinetic barriers and energy shielding simultaneously. Few known species possess such technology. Which species? Cole pressed. The Cathar Syndicate, perhaps, though their methods are typically cruder. The Cygnus hegemony has theoretical models, but lacks practical application. Or, she hesitated, a rare sign of uncertainty. Or it could be something new, something emergent. Something new. The thought sent a fresh wave of unease through Cole. The galaxy was vast, its corners filled with shadows and secrets. He uploaded the alloy data and the energy signature analysis to Directorate Command, encrypting it heavily. The response would take time. Subspace transmissions across interstellar distances were never instantaneous. Based on projected escape vectors and known hyperspace routes accessible from this sector, Xelira continued, consulting a display projected from her wrist gauntlet. The most logical destination for maximizing dispersal options and minimizing detection is, as your command suspected, the Meridian Station complex. My assessment as well, Cole agreed. It's the galactic crossroads for anything illicit. Then our course is clear, Xelira stated. We proceed to Meridian Station. We must assume the thieves intend to sell or transfer the Chimera agent there. She turned fully towards him. My vessel is positioned in orbit on the far side of this moon. It possesses superior long-range scanning capabilities. Your ship, the Nightfall, has excellent stealth features. A coordinated approach is logical. We travel separately but maintain secure communication. Rendezvous near the asteroid belt approach to Meridian. Cole nodded. It made tactical sense. Two ships were harder to track than one and offered redundancy. Secure channel protocols. Xelira transmitted the encryption keys directly to his suit's comm system. Zarethian encryption was notoriously complex, layered with quantum entanglement algorithms. This channel is shielded against all known forms of interception. Use it for essential communication only. Agreed. Cole looked around the ruined vault one last time. The silence felt heavy, pregnant with the potential catastrophe the stolen vial represented. Let's move out. The longer we wait, the colder the trail gets. They exited the facility through the same collapsed tunnel, parting ways in the desolate canyon under the alien sky. Cole watched Xelira ascend silently towards the ridgeline, her figure quickly swallowed by the shadows and the terrain. An alien assassin, now his reluctant partner. He turned and headed back towards the hidden nightfall. The weight of the mission and the uncertainty of his new alliance pressing down on him. He couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning, that the destruction on Zeta 9 was merely the first move in a much larger, deadlier game. The thought of the Chimera agent, a weapon tailored to genetic annihilation, loose in the lawless depths of Meridian Station, spurred him onward. He had to get there first. He had to succeed. Failure was unthinkable. The journey to Meridian Station was tense, uneventful on the surface, but fraught with underlying anxiety. Cole pushed the nightfall through hyperspace, the star lines blurring into streaks of cold light outside the cockpit viewport. He maintained intermittent contact with Xelira via the secure channel. Brief, coded exchanges confirming positions and sensor readings. Her ship, designated only as X7, was faster, designed for rapid interstellar insertion and extraction, while his nightfall relied on its ability to disappear from conventional sensors. They dropped out of hyperspace near the designated rendezvous point, a dense asteroid field known as the Serpent's Coil, notorious for its navigational hazards and sensor interference, a perfect place to mask their approach to Meridian. Xelira's X7 materialized precisely on schedule, a sleek, dark arrowhead shape barely distinguishable against the void. Nightfall. "This is X7. Xelira's voice came over the secure channel. Sensor sweep confirms standard patrol patterns around Meridian approach vectors. Increased traffic density near the station's primary docking rings. No sign of unusual energy signatures matching the Zeta 9 incident. Acknowledged, X7, Cole replied, proceeding with stealth approach. Maintain passive scans. I'll make contact once I'm inside the station's proximity grid. Affirmative. Exercise caution. Agent Harren. Meridian is unpredictable." The channel went silent. Cole eased the nightfall into the asteroid field, its maneuvering thrusters firing in minute bursts. He navigated the treacherous debris streams, using the larger asteroids as cover, his sensors constantly scanning for patrol drones or pirate ambushes. Meridian Station loomed ahead, a sprawling, chaotic agglomeration of modules, platforms, and retrofitted spacecraft clinging to the scarred surface of a massive asteroid. It glittered with countless lights, a gaudy jewel in the blackness, radiating a cacophony of electromagnetic noise. Getting inside undetected required patience and skill. He bypassed the main docking bays, opting for a series of abandoned mining access tunnels on the station's dark side. The Nightfall slipped through a derelict outer hatch, its stealth systems working overtime to mask its signature from the station's internal security grid. Cole found a relatively secure cavern deep within the asteroid's crust, once used for ore processing, now forgotten and filled with drifting dust. He powered down all non-essential systems, effectively vanishing. Donning civilian attire over a lightweight armored undersuit, Cole prepared for insertion into the station proper. He clipped his plasma pistol discreetly to his hip, concealed under a worn synth leather jacket, a compact scanner.com unit, and several untraceable credit chips completed his loadout. Before leaving the Nightfall, he paused, looking back at the silent cockpit. Trusting Xelira still felt like walking a razor's edge. But their goals, for now, were aligned. Find Chimera. Meridian Station assaulted the senses. The air was thick with the smell of exotic spices, engine exhaust, unidentifiable chemicals, and too many unwashed bodies crammed into confined spaces. Noise was a constant barrage, the babble of 100 different languages, the thumping bass of music from dubious cantinas, the hiss of pneumatics, the clang of machinery, the shouts of vendors and gamblers. Throngs of beings pushed through the narrow, crowded corridors, humans, Orions, Tellarites. Gaunt Regelians, hulking Gorn, beings whose origins Cole couldn't even guess at, all mingling in the station's lawless embrace. Cole moved through the crowds, keeping his head down, observing. Information was the currency here, traded in whispers in dimly lit alcoves, auctioned in encrypted data bursts on the shadow networks. Finding someone trying to sell a stolen bioweapon wouldn't be easy. They'd be cautious. Operating through layers of intermediaries, he needed a starting point, an information broker known for dealing in high-stakes, sensitive materiel. His directorate contacts had provided a few potential names. Dangerous individuals operating in the station's underbelly, the most promising, or perhaps the least likely to sell him out immediately, was a shadowy figure known only as Silas, reputed to have ears everywhere in the black market sectors. Finding Silas required navigating the labyrinthine lower levels, descending into the station's grimy, neon-lit depths where security patrols were infrequent and violence was commonplace. He found the Serpent's Kiss Cantina, Silas's supposed preferred haunt, tucked away in a smog-filled sector known as the Rust Pits. The entrance was nondescript, flickering sign casting lurid green light onto the grimy street. Inside, the air was thick with smoke from narcotic incense sticks, the music a low, dissonant thrum. Patrons eyed him suspiciously as he entered, their faces hard, their gazes lingering. Cole ignored them, scanning the room. In a shadowed booth at the back, nursing a drink that glowed faintly, sat a man matching Silas's description. Thin, pale, with cybernetic enhancements glinting around one eye and along his left hand. Cole approached cautiously. "Looking for Silas," Cole said quietly, standing near the booth. The man didn't look up immediately, taking a slow sip of his drink. The cybernetic eye whirred softly as it scanned Cole. "Many people look. Few find. What makes you think you have?" The voice was raspy, augmented by a subtle vocal modulator. "Information suggests this is the place to inquire about sensitive, recently acquired biologicals." Cole kept his tone neutral, professional. Silas finally looked up. His organic eye narrowed, the cybernetic one glowing slightly brighter. A bold inquiry. Dangerous. Expensive. He gestured vaguely to the seat opposite him. "Sit. Perhaps we can discuss the price of curiosity." Cole slid into the booth, the worn synth leather cold against his back. He placed a high-denomination credit chip on the table. "My curiosity is well-funded. I'm looking for chatter about a specific item. High value. Recently liberated from a secure facility in the Zeta-9 sector. Genetic agent." Silas's cybernetic fingers tapped rhythmically on the tabletop. He eyed the credit chip but didn't touch it. Zeta-9. Unpleasant business. Caused quite a stir in certain circles. Echoes travel far, even to Meridian. He leaned forward slightly, his voice dropping lower. "The item you speak of. Project Chimera. Yes, there are whispers. Faint, cautious whispers. Highly sought after. Extremely dangerous to possess. Even more dangerous to sell." "Who's selling?" Cole asked directly. Silas chuckled. A dry, rasping sound. "Direct. I admire that. Usually fatal here, but admirable." He finally picked up the credit chip, slipping it into a pocket. "The sellers are ghosts. Agent. No names. No faces circulating yet. They are moving carefully, using cutouts, blind drops. But the ask is circulating. astronomical price. Buyers are lining up, vultures circling a fresh kill, Cathar Syndicate, Orion smugglers. Even some whispers about elements within the Romulan Star Empire showing interest. Romulans. That complicated things significantly. Any indication of where a transaction might take place. A meet. That information is significantly more expensive. Silas's cybernetic eye pulsed softly and requires a degree of trust. How do I know you aren't directorate, or worse, working for one of the other bidders? Cole met his gaze steadily. Let's just say I have a vested interest in ensuring Chimera doesn't fall into any of those hands. My resources are substantial. If you provide actionable intelligence, your compensation will reflect its value. He slid another, larger credit chip across the table. Silas stared at the chip, then back at Cole, his cybernetic eye whirring almost imperceptibly. There's talk of a meet being brokered. Neutral ground. A private auction, invitation only. Extremely high security. Location hasn't been finalized. But the broker is someone known for discretion. Calls himself the curator. Where can I find this curator? Silas shook his head. You don't find the curator. He finds you. If you have the right credentials, the right collateral. He operates out of Eclipse Haven. Eclipse Haven. Cole knew the name. A hidden outpost. Supposedly located within a nebula on the fringes of the Terminus systems. A place even more secretive and dangerous than Meridian Station. Frequented by the galaxy's elite criminals and spies. Getting an invitation won't be easy. Impossible, for most, Silas corrected. But there was another inquiry. Similar profile to yours. Not human. Tall dot precise. Asked about Chimera just hours ago. He paused, letting the implication hang in the air. Perhaps your competition arrived first. Xelira. Cole felt a jolt. She was already moving, using her own contacts. Or was Silas playing them against each other? Did this other individual mention Eclipse Haven? Sharp questions, Silas noted. No, just probing about sellers, potential buyers. Seemed displeased to find the trail leading towards a brokered deal rather than a direct sale. He leaned back, a flicker of amusement in his organic eye. Seems you aren't the only one chasing this ghost. Agent. Makes things more interesting and more dangerous. Cole absorbed the information. Xelira was here, active. They needed to coordinate that fast. And the trail led to Eclipse Haven, brokered by someone called the Curator. One more thing, Silas. The ones who hit Zeta 9, any description, any faction markers. Silas's expression turned serious. Nothing concrete. Just shadows and rumors, fast ship, unusual energy signature. Some say they wore armor that shifted, blended with the dark, called them phantoms by those who survived encounters in the past. Though few have. They hit hard, take what they want, and vanish. No known affiliation. Phantoms. The name sent a chill down Cole's spine. It matched the sophisticated tech, the surgical precision. He pushed a final, smaller credit chip towards Silas. For your time. If you hear anything more about the curator, the location of the meet, or these phantoms, you know how to reach me. Cole had slipped Silas an encrypted, single-use comm frequency embedded in the first chip. Pleasure doing business. Agent, Silas said, pocketing the chip. Try not to get killed. Meridian has a way of swallowing secrets, and those who chase them. Cole left the serpent's kiss, melting back into the chaotic flow of the lower levels. He needed to contact Xelira, share the intel about Eclipse Haven and the curator. He found a relatively secluded spot in a deserted transit hub, checking carefully for surveillance before activating the secure Zarethian comm link. Xelira.report, he transmitted, keeping his voice low. Her reply was almost instantaneous. crisp and clear despite the station's background interference. Harren, I have also identified Eclipse Haven as the probable location for the Chimera transfer. Information broker confirmed a high-level auction being organized by an entity known as the Curator. My intelligence suggests the Phantoms, the group likely responsible for the Zeta-9 attack, are the sellers. Cole felt a grudging respect for her efficiency. She'd arrived at the same conclusion, likely through different channels. Phantoms. My source used the same name, described as technologically advanced, unaffiliated. Their anonymity is concerning, Xelira stated. It implies a level of operational security few organizations can maintain. We need to infiltrate this auction at Eclipse Haven. Easier said than done, Cole countered. Silas, my contact, said the curator finds you. Not the other way around. Requires credentials, collateral. I anticipated this, Xelira replied. The Zareth Conclave maintains certain legends within the galactic underworld, identities that carry weight, backed by substantial resources. I believe I can secure an invitation, posing as a representative for a clandestine Zareth faction interested in acquiring unique biological assets. Cole frowned. That's risky. If your cover is blown, all covert operations involve risk, Agent Harren. It is the most logical path. Once I have secured entry, I can potentially facilitate your own infiltration. Attempting separate approaches increases the chance of detection or conflict between us. Alerting the curator or the Phantoms. He didn't like relying on her, on Zarethian subterfuge, but she had a point. A direct assault on Eclipse Haven was suicide, and trying to bluff his way into an exclusive auction without proper backing was equally foolish. All right, you secure the invitation. Keep me updated. What's your estimated time frame? Acquiring credentials and making contact with the curator's network may take up to 24 standard hours. Discretion is paramount. Understood. I'll lay low. Gather background intel on Eclipse Haven and this curator. Maintain calm silence unless urgent. Harren out. Cole deactivated the link. The silence of the transit hub pressing in again. Eclipse Haven. The name itself sounded ominous. He had a day to prepare for a journey into the heart of the galactic underworld. Chasing ghosts alongside an alien operative, he still wasn't sure he could trust. With the fate of his species hanging in the balance, the stakes kept getting higher. While Xelira worked her Zarethian connections, Cole delved into the fragmented data available on Eclipse Haven. Information was scarce, heavily encrypted, or deliberately misleading. What he could piece together painted a picture of an exclusive sanctuary built within the Veil Nebula, a treacherous expanse of gas, dust, and unstable gravitational tides that deterred casual visitors and most conventional navies. The haven itself was rumored to be a mobile station, or perhaps multiple interconnected platforms, constantly shifting its position within the nebula, accessible only through specific, heavily guarded hyperspace corridors known only to its clientele. It was founded, legend said, by a consortium of wealthy pariahs, disgraced nobles, and master criminals seeking refuge from galactic law and political retribution. Over the decades, it had evolved into the ultimate neutral ground, a place where deals of staggering value and questionable legality were brokered, where secrets were traded, and where fortunes were made and lost under the watchful eye of its enigmatic administrator, the curator. No reliable images or biographical data existed for the curator. The entity was as elusive as the haven itself. Security was said to be absolute, employing exotic technologies and fanatically loyal enforcers. Trespassers simply disappeared. Cole spent hours cross-referencing shipping manifests, analyzing hyperspace anomaly reports near the Veil Nebula, searching for any pattern. any clue to the Haven's current location or access protocols. He found nothing concrete, only reinforcing the station's legendary secrecy. He also researched the phantoms, finding only scattered, terrified accounts from the few who had survived encounters, attacks on high-security convoys, corporate research facilities, even isolated military outposts. The descriptions were consistent: sudden, overwhelming force, advanced stealth technology, and targets chosen with surgical precision, often involving the theft of advanced technology or unique biological samples. No demands were ever made, no manifestos issued. They simply struck, took what they wanted, and vanished back into the void. As the hours ticked by, Cole felt the familiar pre-mission tension coiling tighter in his gut. Infiltrating Eclipse Haven was leagues beyond dealing with informants on Meridian Station. This was the major league of galactic espionage and crime. He checked his equipment, cleaned his plasma pistol, and reviewed the Nightfall's sensor logs, ensuring the ship remained undetected in its hiding place. Finally, after nearly 20 hours of silence, the secure comlink chirped. Harren. Xelira's voice was calm, but Cole detected an underlying note of satisfaction. Contact established. Credentials accepted. I have received preliminary coordinates for a rendezvous point on the edge of the Veil Nebula. A specific hyperspace vector will be transmitted only upon arrival at the designated coordinates. Authentication protocols are complex, involving biosignature verification and Zarethian encryption keys I have provided. They bought your cover? Cole asked. Affirmative. The reputation of the Silent Hand of Zareth, a mythical splinter group dealing in forbidden knowledge, proved persuasive. The curator's intermediary seemed intrigued, and my infiltration. That presents a challenge, Xelira admitted. Invitations are strictly individual. Bringing unsanctioned personnel is grounds for immediate termination of the invitation and the guest. However, the rendezvous involves a shuttle transport from the coordinates to the Haven itself. Security on the shuttle is likely internal, focused on verifying the invited guest. There might be an opportunity during the transit phase, but it will require precise timing and carries significant risk of detection. Cole considered the options. Stowaway. Too unreliable. Forcing his way onto the shuttle. Too loud. What kind of shuttle? Preliminary scans suggest a heavily shielded, long-range transport, likely armed, capable of navigating the Veil Nebula's hazards. An idea sparked in Cole's mind, risky but potentially viable given the Nightfall's capabilities. Xelira, can you transmit the rendezvous coordinates and the expected arrival time of the curator's shuttle? Transmitting now. ADA for shuttle arrival is approximately 8 standard hours post-departure from Meridian. Why? I have a plan, Cole said. It involves the Nightfall's stealth systems and some precise maneuvering. I'll get myself to that shuttle. Just make sure you're ready for an unexpected guest when you board. There was a brief pause on the other end. Agent Harren, your plan sounds unconventional. The risks are calculated, Cole interrupted. It's the best chance we have to get both of us inside without raising alarms before the auction even begins. Trust me on this. Another pause. Longer this time. Cole could almost picture Xelira weighing the probabilities, analyzing the risk factors with cold Zarethian logic. Very well, Agent Harren. I will proceed to the rendezvous coordinates. I will anticipate your unconventional arrival. Do not compromise my established cover. X7 out. Cole smiled grimly. Phase 2 was underway. He powered up the Nightfall, the stealth ship detaching silently from the cavern wall. He eased it out of the derelict access tunnel and back into the chaotic space lanes around Meridian, plotting a course for the edge of the Veil Nebula. timing his arrival to coincide precisely with Xelira's rendezvous. His plan involved using the Nightfall's advanced sensor spoofing and short-range teleportation tech the Directorate wasn't even officially supposed to possess, to insert himself onto the Curator's shuttle just after Xelira boarded. It was audacious, bordering on reckless. But in this game, sometimes the boldest move was the only one that worked. Failure meant not just mission compromise, but likely death in the depths of the Veil Nebula or at the hands of the Curator's security. Success meant getting one step closer to the Chimera agent and the phantoms who wielded it. The edge of the Veil Nebula was a breathtaking, terrifying sight. Vast curtains of incandescent gas, glowing in hues of crimson, violet, and emerald, swirled around islands of impenetrable darkness and crackling electromagnetic storms. Navigation here was suicide for standard vessels. Cole kept the Nightfall cloaked, nestled within a dense pocket of interstellar dust. Sensors focused on the rendezvous coordinates Xelira had provided, right on schedule. Xelira's sleek X7 dropped out of hyperspace, running dark except for necessary navigation lights. Minutes later, a larger vessel emerged from the swirling nebula clouds, the Curator's shuttle. It was blocky, utilitarian, heavily armored, radiating power. It broadcast a complex identification code, which Xelira's ship answered with an equally complex Zarethian transmission. Docking clamps extended from the shuttle, locking onto the X7. This was Cole's window. Engaging the Nightfall's short-range tactical transporter, he targeted the shuttle's ventral hull, near the docking point but away from immediate sensor focus. He had milliseconds to calibrate for the shuttle's shield harmonics, bypass localized sensors, and rematerialize inside. It was like threading a needle in a hurricane blindfolded. Energizing, Cole muttered, activating the sequence. A disorienting shimmer enveloped him, a brief sensation of non-existence, then sudden, jarring reality. He materialized in a cramped maintenance crawl space aboard the Curator's shuttle, the air smelling of ozone and lubricant. Alarms remained silent. Phase 1 of the infiltration, success. He could hear the faint pressurization hiss as Xelira boarded through the main airlock. Cole remained motionless, listening intently, voices muffled by the bulkhead. One distinctly Xelira's, calm and formal. The other deeper, resonant, likely a security officer or pilot verifying her identity. Welcome, Representative. The Curator awaits your arrival at Eclipse Haven. Secure your vessel. We depart immediately. Cole heard the docking clamps retract, felt the shuttle vibrate as its engines powered up, pulling away from Xelira's ship. He needed to find a way out of the crawl space and blend in, or at least find a hiding spot closer to the passenger area. Before they reached the haven, he moved cautiously through the narrow passage, following conduit lines. Searching for an access panel, he found one leading into a small, darkened cargo bay filled with sealed containers. Slipping out silently, he took stock. The bay was deserted. Perfect. He could hide here until they docked. He settled behind a stack of crates, drawing his pistol, every sense on high alert. The shuttle navigated the nebula's treacherous currents with unnerving skill. The journey smooth despite the visual chaos outside hypothetical viewports. After what felt like an hour, but was likely less, the shuttle's engines shifted pitch, indicating deceleration. They were approaching Eclipse Haven. Cole tensed. The critical phase was about to begin. He needed to find Xelira, coordinate their next move, and prepare for whatever awaited them at the galaxy's most exclusive and dangerous auction house. The Chimera agent was close. He could feel it. The shuttle docked with a soft bump and the clang of magnetic clamps. Cole remained hidden as he heard the main hatch cycle open, followed by footsteps and indistinct greetings. He waited until the sounds faded, indicating Xelira and her escorts had likely moved deeper into the station. Before cautiously emerging from the cargo bay, he found himself in a docking bay far more opulent than Meridian's gritty ports. Polished chrome, soft ambient lighting, holographic art displays shimmering on the walls. Security personnel in sleek, dark uniforms stood at discreet intervals, their faces impassive, armed with advanced energy weapons. Cole pulled his jacket tighter, trying to look like just another low-level technician or visitor's aide, as he moved quickly towards the main concourse exit. Attempting to blend into the sparse traffic, he spotted Xelira moments later, standing near a large viewport overlooking a stunning vista of the Veil Nebula. She was flanked by two Haven security guards, but appeared to be waiting, subtly scanning the area. Their eyes met briefly across the bustling, yet strangely subdued, concourse. A flicker of acknowledgement, nothing more. Cole gave a minute nod and moved towards a designated rendezvous point they'd hastily agreed upon via coded burst transmission just before docking. A quiet observation lounge overlooking a zero-gravity botanical garden. He reached the lounge first, finding it empty save for a few silent, robed figures meditating near the transparent walls showcasing the swirling nebula outside. He took a seat in a shadowed corner, ordering a nutrient paste from a hovering service drone, trying to appear nonchalant. Xelira arrived minutes later, having apparently dismissed her escorts. She moved with her usual fluid grace, her Zarethian features drawing curious glances from the lounge's other occupants. She sat opposite Cole, her expression unreadable. "Your arrival was undetected, it seems," she stated quietly, her voice barely audible over the lounge's soft atmospheric music. "Stealth is my specialty," Cole replied dryly. "Report." The curator's representative confirmed the auction is scheduled for 20 standard hours from now. Location: the Grand Orrery Chamber, highest security level. Attendance is strictly by verified invitation. The Chimera agent is confirmed as the primary lot. Xelira leaned forward slightly. Security is formidable. Agent Harren. Biosignature scanners. Psionic dampeners. Kinetic barriers. And patrols of heavily armed guards. The curator takes no chances. The phantoms, are they here? Their presence is confirmed. A representative, likely, heavily cloaked, identity unknown. They are keeping to themselves, housed in a secure wing. Trying to approach them directly would be suicide. Cole processed the information. 20 hours. Enough time to formulate a plan, but not much room for error. Infiltrating the auction chamber itself seems impossible without your credentials. My role might be external support. Create a diversion. Disable security systems. Xelira considered this. A diversion could be effective, but risks exposing us prematurely. Disabling security from the outside. Possible. But Haven's internal network is likely isolated and heavily shielded. My access as a guest is limited, confined mostly to designated common areas and my assigned quarters. "What about the Chimera agent itself?" Cole asked. "Where is it being held before the auction?" "That information is compartmentalized, known only to the curator and top security personnel. However," Xelira's eyes held a faint gleam. "My credentials grant me access to certain high-level station manifests and energy grid schematics. I detected an unusual power signature originating from a restricted sub-level vault, designated Vault 7. High energy containment field, consistent with storing volatile biologicals. Vault 7, that was their target. Forget the auction for now. Our best chance is to acquire the Chimera agent before it goes under the hammer. Hit the vault." "A direct assault on a secure vault within Eclipse Haven?" Xelira questioned. her tone conveying the immense risk. Security response would be instantaneous and overwhelming, not a direct assault. Cole clarified. A surgical extraction. We need schematics. Guard rotations. Security overrides. Can your access get us any of that? Xelira paused. Accessing her internal systems linked to the Haven network through her Zarethian tech. I can access basic structural layouts for the sublevels. Guard patrol routes are randomized, but I can monitor internal comms traffic for patterns. Security overrides. Highly unlikely without direct access to the main security hub, which is undoubtedly the most fortified location on the station. Okay, layouts and comms monitoring are a start. Cole looked around the opulent lounge, a stark contrast to the deadly purpose that brought them here. We need a way into that sublevel. Bypass the vault security, grab the sample, and get out. Preferably without alerting the entire station. My Zarethian infiltration tools may be of assistance, Xelira offered. Phase cloaking device for short durations. Localized sensor scramblers. Neural stunner. Limited use. High energy drain. Good. Combined with my directorate tech, we might have a chance. Cole glanced at the chronometer embedded in his comm unit. We have less than 20 hours. Let's get back to your quarters. Analyze the schematics, monitor comms, and formulate a precise plan. We move tonight. Xelira nodded curtly. Agreed. Follow my lead. Maintain the appearance of my subordinate. They left the lounge. Xelira leading the way through corridors adorned with priceless artifacts and patrolled by vigilant guards. Cole followed a few paces behind, playing the part of an unobtrusive aide. He caught glimpses of the Haven's other guests, powerful figures from across the galaxy, crime lords, corrupt corporate executives, shadowy political operatives, all gathered for the curator's exclusive event. The air crackled with intrigue and danger, reaching Xelira's assigned quarters, a luxurious suite with reinforced doors and its own environmental controls. She sealed the entrance, activating sophisticated counter-surveillance measures integrated into her Zarethian equipment. We are secure. For now, she stated, turning to face him. The suite's main room featured a large holographic display unit. Xelira interfaced with it, bringing up the sublevel schematics she had acquired. Lines of light formed a complex blueprint of corridors, access points, and the heavily marked location of Vault 7. Vault 7 is located in sublevel Delta, Sector Gamma. Xelira indicated points on the schematic. Access via restricted turbolifts or maintenance conduits. The vault itself appears to be shielded by multiple layers, kinetic barriers, bioscanners, and a high-energy containment field requiring synchronized decryption keys to deactivate. Cole studied the layout. Maintenance conduits look like our best bet for bypassing primary checkpoints. Looks like Conduit 4 Gamma runs adjacent to the vault's outer wall. Monitoring internal security.coms, Xelira reported, her eyes distant for a moment as she processed the data feed. Patrol patterns in sublevel Delta are indeed randomized, but converge near the vault entrance every 15 minutes. There is also a dedicated 2-guard static post directly outside the vault door. 15-minute window between patrols. Cole calculated. Tight. Enough time to disable the static post and tackle the vault door, assuming we can handle the decryption. The synchronized keys are the primary obstacle, Xelira admitted. Standard decryption algorithms will be useless against Haven security. It likely requires a physical interface or specific authorization codes we do not possess. Cole frowned, tapping the schematic where the conduit met the vault. What if we don't go through the door? Xelira followed his gaze. Breach the vault wall directly. The materials are likely heavily reinforced, possibly layered with energy dampeners. My directorate kit includes a small thermal lance, Cole said. high-intensity, dot-focused beam, designed for emergency hull breaches. It's noisy, but fast. If we can use your scramblers to mask the energy signature and sound locally, and time it perfectly within the patrol window, the risk of detection remains high, Xelira cautioned. But it bypasses the need for decryption keys, a viable, albeit hazardous, alternative. She zoomed in on the vault schematic. We would need to pinpoint the exact location of the internal storage unit containing the Chimera agent to minimize exposure time within the vault. Can your sensors penetrate the vault walls from the conduit? Xelira concentrated. Possibly. If I can get close enough and modulate the frequency. Yes. I believe I can get a low-resolution scan of the interior, enough to locate the primary containment signature. Okay, here's the plan, Cole said, outlining the strategy. We use the maintenance conduits to reach the vault exterior. You scan the interior, pinpoint the target. We wait for the patrol to pass. 15-minute window opens. We neutralize the static post guards silently using your neural stunner. You deploy scramblers. I use the thermal lance to cut an entry point directly over the Chimera container. One of us goes in, retrieves the sample, gets out. We seal the breach temporarily, withdraw back through the conduits before the next patrol arrives. And exfiltration from the station, Xelira asked. Worry about that after we have the package, Cole replied. One step at a time. This is the hard part. Xelira gave a single sharp nod. The plan is high risk, minimal margin for error, but it is the most direct path to the objective. I concur. We prepare our equipment and move within the hour. They spent the next hour meticulously checking their gear. Cole calibrated the thermal lance, ensuring maximum power efficiency and minimal energy bleed. Xelira configured her phase cloak modulator and sensor scramblers, synchronizing them with her neural stunner. They donned dark, non-reflective infiltration suits beneath their outer clothing. The tension in the suite was thick, the silence broken only by the soft hum of Xelira's equipment and the occasional update on guard movements from her internal comm feed. Patrols are maintaining their pattern, Xelira confirmed finally. Sublevel Delta Access Conduit 7 Alpha appears clear. It offers the most direct route. Let's move, Cole said, clipping his pistol securely. Stay alert. Assume everything is monitored. They exited the suite, blending back into the station's muted traffic. Xelira led them through service corridors and restricted access points, bypassing security checkpoints with her authenticated credentials. Cole following as her silent aide. Reaching the entrance to Conduit 7 Alpha required navigating a maze of humming machinery and dimly lit passages deep within the Haven's infrastructure. The air grew warmer, smelling of ozone and hot metal. The conduit hatch was magnetically sealed, requiring Xelira's Zarethian override device. It hissed open, revealing a dark, narrow tunnel filled with pipes and cabling. Cole activated his suit's low-light visor as they slipped inside, sealing the hatch behind them. They moved quickly, silently, through the cramped space, following the schematic overlay projected onto Cole's visor. After 20 minutes of navigating the oppressive darkness of the conduits, they reached the section adjacent to Vault 7. Xelira pressed her scanner against the conduit wall, concentrating. Cole watched the patrol indicators on his display, counting down the seconds until the next sweep past their location. Patrol passing Sector Gamma Junction. Now, Cole whispered. Xelira worked quickly, scanning. Vault interior confirmed. Multiple shielded containers, detecting unique biosignature resonance. There, center of the vault. Elevated platform. Single containment unit matching Chimera profile. She marked the exact location on Cole's schematic overlay. Next patrol due in 14 minutes, 30 seconds, Cole reported. Static post first. They found a grated ventilation output offering a view of the corridor directly outside the vault door. Two Haven guards stood impassively, energy rifles held ready. They were heavily armored, alert. Neural stunner range is optimal, Xelira murmured, calibrating her weapon. Synchronized shot. Cole nodded. On my mark. 3, 2, 1, mark. Two faint pulses of energy, barely visible, shot from Xelira's device. Both guards stiffened simultaneously, then collapsed silently, caught by the stun field before they could hit the floor noisily. Clear, Xelira confirmed, deploying scramblers. She activated a device that emitted a low, almost subsonic hum, designed to mask their energy signatures and dampen sound locally. Patrol window, 12 minutes remaining, Cole said, moving towards the conduit exit panel closest to the vault. He popped the panel open silently and dropped into the corridor. Xelira right behind him. They dragged the stunned guards into a shadowed alcove, out of sight. Cole placed the tip of the thermal lance against the vault wall, precisely where Xelira had indicated the Chimera sample was located inside. Activating lance. Stand clear. The lance hissed to life, an intensely bright point of white heat biting into the reinforced vault wall. Molten metal slagged away, dripping onto the floor with soft, sizzling sounds, quickly hardening. Cole worked with practiced speed, cutting a small, precise circle just large enough for someone to squeeze through. The air filled with the smell of superheated metal, almost through. Cole grunted, sweat beading on his forehead despite the infiltration suit's climate control. Energy shielding inside the wall, penetrating now. Scrambler holding, but energy fluctuations are spiking. Xelira warned, monitoring her equipment. 9 minutes remaining. With a final surge, the lance cut through the last layer. Cole retracted the tool, revealing a glowing circle cut into the thick metal. He used magnetic grapples to pull the circular section free. Hot, conditioned air from inside the vault washed over them. Inside, just as Xelira's scan indicated, stood a pedestal bathed in soft blue light. On it rested a single, cylindrical containment unit, pulsing faintly. Project Chimera. I'll go, Cole said. Cover me. He squeezed through the narrow opening, dropping lightly onto the vault floor. The containment field deactivated automatically within the localized breach. He grabbed the cylinder. It was cold to the touch, surprisingly heavy. Got it, he called back quietly. Coming out. He pushed the cylinder through the opening to Xelira, then quickly squeezed back out into the corridor. 7 minutes, Xelira urged, handing him a temporary sealant patch. Cole slapped it over the breach point. It adhered instantly, hardening to mimic the vault wall, though it wouldn't fool a close inspection. Let's go, Cole said, grabbing the stunned guards' weapons just in case. They scrambled back into the maintenance conduit, sealing the access panel behind them, just as Cole's chrono showed 5 minutes left in the patrol window. They moved back through the conduits as fast as they dared, the stolen Chimera agent secured in a shielded pouch on Cole's belt. The adrenaline was still pumping, but the first part of the plan had worked. They had the bioweapon. Now, they just needed to get off Eclipse Haven alive. Security comms are still routine, Xelira reported as they neared their exit point back into the station's service corridors. No alarms triggered. Our infiltration appears undetected. For now. Good. But they'll discover the breach and the missing guards eventually, Cole reasoned. We need to get to the Nightfall. My ship is our only viable escape route now. especially with that. He patted the pouch containing Chimera. Your ship is docked too prominently, too easily tracked. Agreed, Xelira conceded. The challenge lies in reaching your vessel's hiding location within the station's substructure without alerting security. My credentials will be flagged the moment the theft is discovered. We stick to the service routes. Avoid main concourses. Cole planned quickly. We need to get back to the mining sector where I parked the Nightfall. It's on the opposite side of the station. That route will take us through several monitored choke points, Xelira pointed out. My phase cloak has limited duration, insufficient for the entire journey. We'll have to rely on stealth and timing, Cole said grimly. Maybe create a small diversion if needed. They emerged from the conduits back into a deserted engineering section. The air hummed with the station's powerful systems. Cole checked his scanner. Clear for now. Let's move. They navigated the labyrinthine corridors, sticking to shadows. Using Cole's scanner and Xelira's monitoring of comms, chatter, to avoid patrols and surveillance drones. Twice they had to duck into unlit storage rooms as security teams passed nearby, their hearts pounding. The station, despite its opulence on the upper levels, had a gritty, dangerous feel in its depths. As they approached a major junction connecting the service levels to the older mining sectors, Xelira held up a hand. Increased security activity ahead, multiple patrols converging. They may have found the vault breach. Cole peeked around the corner. She was right. Half a dozen Haven guards were setting up a checkpoint, scanning personnel moving through the junction. There was no way around it. Diversion it is, Cole muttered. He spotted a nearby power conduit junction box, poorly shielded. Get ready to move fast. He drew his pistol, switched it to overload pulse mode, aiming carefully. He fired a single energy pulse into the junction box. Sparks flew. Lights flickered wildly in their section of the corridor, and a klaxon began to blare, signaling a power overload. The guards at the checkpoint immediately reacted, turning their attention towards the source of the alarm, confusion momentarily disrupting their formation. Now! Cole yelled, sprinting across the junction while the guards were distracted. Xelira followed, her Zarethian agility allowing her to keep pace easily. They plunged into the darkened, echoing corridors of the old mining sector, the alarm klaxon fading behind them. That bought us some time, but they'll know we're heading this way, Xelira stated, her breathing even despite the sprint. Almost there, Cole said, recognizing the rock formations and abandoned equipment near the Nightfall's hiding spot. He led them through a final series of twists and turns, arriving back at the cavern entrance. He keyed open the ship's concealed ramp. Get aboard, he urged. They scrambled inside, Cole sealing the ramp and racing for the cockpit. He powered up the engines, the Nightfall humming to life. Sensors show multiple security craft approaching our position. Xelira called out from the co-pilot station, already interfacing with the ship's systems. Strap in, Cole said, engaging the quantum drive initiator. We're leaving the way we came in. He piloted the Nightfall expertly out of the cavern and into the main mining tunnel access, pushing the stealth ship's engines hard. Warning lights flashed on the console as Haven security vessels appeared on tactical display. Closing fast. Weapons charging. They're locking weapons, Xelira warned. Not for long, Cole gritted his teeth, activating the full stealth suite and diverting all available power to the engines and shields. The Nightfall accelerated rapidly, blurring through the access tunnel and out into the chaotic space lanes near the station's dark side. Laser fire stitched the space where they had been moments before. Cole didn't head for open space immediately. Instead, he dove back towards the asteroid cluster where Meridian Station itself was located, using the dense debris and electromagnetic interference as cover. Haven ships wouldn't follow too far into Meridian's jurisdiction, without causing a major incident. We lost them in the debris field, Xelira reported after a tense few minutes of evasive maneuvers. No active pursuit signatures. Cole let out a breath he hadn't realized he was holding, easing back on the throttle. Okay. Phase 3. Get this thing somewhere safe. He looked at the Chimera agent, secured in its pouch beside his console. They had it. They had survived Eclipse Haven. But he knew, with chilling certainty, that their troubles were far from over. The curator would not forgive this theft. The phantoms would want their property back, and now, both Earth and the Zareth Conclave would be hunting them, wanting the bioweapons secured under their own control. They were fugitives, carrying the galaxy's most dangerous secret, and his uneasy alliance with the alien operative beside him had just become a partnership forged in fire and desperation. Where they went next, and who they could possibly trust, remained dangerously unclear. Cole pushed the Nightfall further into the lawless sectors of the Outer Rim, running dark, jumping through uncharted hyperspace routes to shake off any potential trackers. Xelira monitored long-range sensors, her Zarethian tech peeling back layers of interference, watching their backtrail. The cockpit was silent, save for the low thrum of the engines and the occasional soft chime of the sensor console. No immediate pursuit detected. Xelira finally reported after several hours of high-speed travel. It seems our escape from Eclipse Haven's immediate vicinity was successful. However, we must assume alerts have been issued through high-level channels. Both the Curator's network and the Phantoms will be searching, and our own governments will want Chimera back. No questions asked. Cole finished grimly. We're caught between multiple factions, all of them hostile. He looked over at Xelira. Her face was illuminated by the soft glow of the console, her expression typically composed. Yet, he sensed a tension beneath the surface. You disobeyed your conclave's likely protocols by aiding my escape and fleeing with the agent outside official channels. Xelira met his gaze, her dark eyes unwavering. My primary directive was the assessment and containment of the Chimera threat, allowing it to be auctioned to the highest bidder, potentially the Phantoms themselves or another hostile power, was unacceptable. My analysis indicated that securing the agent with you offered the highest probability of preventing its misuse. Despite the procedural irregularities, Cole nodded slowly. Zarethian logic could be bent, it seemed, when the stakes were high enough, or perhaps there was more to it. We need a secure location, somewhere off every grid, somewhere nobody would think to look. We need to analyze this Chimera agent, understand its true nature. Silas mentioned the Phantoms weren't necessarily building a weapon to kill. He speculated it might be for harvesting, Xelira recalled, targeting genetic weaknesses not for annihilation, but for extracting desirable traits, human adaptability, resilience. Her eyes widened slightly, a rare show of surprise. If true, the implications are profound. It recontextualizes the Phantom's motives and the agent's potential. Exactly, Cole agreed. If they want to harvest something from human genetics, targeting our weaknesses might just be the key to unlocking or amplifying our strengths. And if that's the case, he looked at the secure pouch containing the deadly vial. This thing is even more dangerous than we thought. Not just a weapon, but a tool for forced, targeted evolution, or genetic theft. We require a fully equipped biological laboratory, Xelira stated, secured, isolated, with advanced gene sequencing technology and containment facilities. Cole accessed the Nightfall's encrypted database, searching through old directorate contingency.files, locations marked as deep black sites, forgotten or decommissioned. Most were compromised or too close to monitored space. Then, one entry caught his eye, Outpost Rhea, a small research station established decades ago in the Beta Serpentis Nebula, a notoriously unstable region plagued by subspace distortions. Officially listed as decommissioned after a catastrophic equipment failure, but Cole knew the truth. Rhea was mothballed, left intact as an emergency fallback, its existence known only to a handful of deep clearance operatives. Directorate budget cuts meant it hadn't been maintained, but the core systems, including the biolab, should still be functional, powered by a geothermal tap. "I think I know a place," Cole said, keying the coordinates into the navicomputer. "Outpost Rhea, Beta Serpentis Nebula. It's remote, shielded by natural subspace interference, and officially doesn't exist anymore. It has a level 4 biocontainment lab." Xelira accessed galactic charts, analyzing the proposed location. The Beta Serpentis Nebula presents significant navigational challenges. Subspace travel within it is impossible. Conventional drives only. Low speed. Sensor interference is extreme. An effective hiding place, but difficult to reach and leave. "That's the point," Cole replied. "If we can get in, we should be safe from casual detection. It's our best shot." "Agreed. Plotting course," Xelira said, already calculating the complex trajectory needed to navigate the nebula's edge. The journey took 2 long, grueling days, maneuvering the nightfall through shifting gravimetric tides and dense particle clouds that battered the shields. Sensors were practically useless, forcing Cole to rely on manual piloting and Xelira's subtle adjustments based on minute energy readings. Finally, they broke through the inner cloud layers, revealing a small, dark planetoid huddled close to a geothermal vent cluster. On its surface, barely visible against the rock, sat the low domes of Outpost Rhea. Cole brought the Nightfall down, landing on a cracked ferrocrete pad near the main airlock. The station was silent, dark, covered in a layer of nebula dust. It looked deserted, forgotten. "Power readings are minimal," Xelira reported, scanning the outpost. "Life support is offline. Geothermal power core is active, but operating at low capacity. We'll have to bring it back online section by section," Cole said, grabbing his environmental suit helmet. "Let's see what condition the lab is in." They entered the outpost through the emergency airlock, the mechanisms groaning in protest, but functioning. Inside, the air was cold, thin, smelling of stale chemicals and dust. Emergency lights flickered weakly, powered by failing battery backups. They moved through darkened corridors, their helmet lights cutting beams through the gloom, checking primary systems as they went. Life support was functional, but needed recalibration. The main reactor control needed careful reactivation. Finally, they reached the biolab wing, sealed behind a heavy containment door. The laboratory itself was remarkably well preserved. Stainless steel surfaces gleamed dimly. Complex analytical equipment stood silent sentinel, and the central containment chamber, designed for handling hazardous materials, looked intact. "Impressive," Xelira commented, her scanner analyzing the equipment. Older human technology, but robust. Gene sequencers, bioanalyzers, sterile containment systems, sufficient for preliminary analysis of the Chimera agent. Cole found the environmental controls for the lab wing and brought life support and power online. Lights flickered, then steadied, illuminating the space. He initiated sterilization protocols for the main containment chamber. "Let's get started. We need to know exactly what this stuff does." Working carefully within the secure containment chamber, wearing full biohazard suits, they prepared the Chimera sample for analysis. Xelira handled the delicate Zarethian interfaces required to safely extract a minuscule amount from the vial, while Cole configured the human-designed sequencers and microscopes. The initial results were baffling. The agent was a complex retrovirus, engineered with astonishing precision. It contained markers designed to interface with specific human DNA sequences, confirming its targeted nature. But its primary function wasn't simple destruction. The viral vector introduces a catalyst, Xelira explained, pointing to data scrolling across a holographic display. It seeks out predetermined genetic weak points, susceptibility to certain diseases, environmental toxins, even hereditary conditions. But instead of triggering degradation, it initiates a form of rapid localized mutation. Cole frowned, studying the microscopic imagery. Cells exposed to the agent weren't dying, they were changing, rewriting their own structure at an accelerated rate. Changing into what? It's attempting to correct the weakness, Xelira murmured, her voice filled with a mixture of fascination and alarm. But the process is unstable, aggressive. It overwrites the original genetic code, but without proper regulation, the mutations cascade. It causes systemic breakdown, not through direct attack, but through uncontrolled, chaotic transformation. The body literally tears itself apart trying to improve, harvesting adaptability. Cole breathed, the horrifying realization dawning. The phantoms aren't trying to kill humans directly. They're triggering our own potential for adaptation, our resilience, but pushing it into overdrive. They intend to study the process, perhaps replicate the successful mutations, the corrections, in themselves or integrate them somehow. A perversion of natural evolution, Xelira stated grimly. Weaponized engineering focused on theft. They use the target species' own strengths against them, inducing fatal, uncontrolled change to map and potentially steal beneficial genetic traits. Suddenly, a proximity alert blared through the lab. Cole and Xelira exchanged alarmed glances. Impossible, Cole said, racing out of the containment chamber towards the lab's main console. How could anyone track us here? The main sensor display showed a single vessel decelerating rapidly from an unconventional subspace window, bypassing the nebula's outer interference using technology Cole didn't recognize. It wasn't Directorate. It wasn't Haven security. The ship's configuration was sharp, angular, unsettlingly familiar. Phantoms, Xelira confirmed, her hand instinctively moving towards the sidearm holstered on her biosuit. They tracked the Chimera agent's unique energy signature. How? This nebula should block everything, Cole exclaimed, trying to access the outpost's minimal defense systems. Ancient kinetic barriers, barely functional. Their technology is clearly superior, Xelira said calmly, though her eyes were alert, scanning the lab for tactical positions. We cannot defend this outpost. Our only option is retreat. The nightfall, Cole realized. They'll target the ship first, as if on cue. The outpost shuddered violently. A high-energy beam lanced down from the Phantom ship, striking the landing pad where the Nightfall sat. Explosions rocked the facility. Red emergency lights flared. Klaxons wailed. Nightfall is hit! Shields failing. Hull breach detected, Cole yelled, watching the damage reports flood the console. The ship was crippled, maybe destroyed. Their only way out was gone. Another blast struck the outpost, closer this time, collapsing part of the corridor leading back to the main sections. They were cut off, trapped in the biolab wing. Heavy footsteps echoed from the damaged corridor. Figures emerged from the smoke and dust, phantom troopers, clad in shifting, dark armor that seemed to absorb the light, armed with menacing energy rifles. They moved with silent, predatory grace. Seal the lab, Cole shouted, hitting the emergency lockdown control for the containment door. Heavy plasteel slammed shut, hopefully buying them a few moments. Xelira was already working, grabbing the Chimera sample container, securing it. They want the agent, and likely, us, for information. Cole checked his pistol charge. They'll breach that door in minutes. Any other way out? Xelira quickly consulted the station schematics again. There's an emergency environmental systems conduit. Narrow. Leads towards the geothermal power core vent. It's a long shot. Might vent directly into the nebula. Better than waiting here, Cole decided. He located the conduit access panel behind a large centrifuge. Heavy pounding began on the containment door. Sparks flew as the phantoms started cutting through. Go! Cole urged, covering the door with his pistol. Xelira wrenched the panel open, revealing a dark, cramped opening. She slid inside, Cole firing suppressive shots towards the rapidly weakening door before diving in after her. Pulling the panel shut just as the lab door exploded inward, they scrambled through the pitch-black conduit, the sounds of the assault fading behind them. It was tight, claustrophobic, filled with dust, and the low thrum of the station's failing power systems. They moved as fast as they could, relying on Xelira's sense of direction and the faint structural diagrams in Cole's helmet display. Suddenly, the conduit beneath them buckled. An explosion nearby sent shockwaves through the structure. Cole lost his footing, tumbling downwards as the section they were in collapsed. He landed hard, the impact knocking the wind out of him. Debris rained down. He looked up, seeing Xelira pinned beneath a heavy support beam that had fallen, her leg trapped at an awkward angle. "Xelira!" He crawled towards her, trying to shift the beam. It was too heavy. She gasped, her face pale beneath the helmet's visor. "My leg, trapped, structural integrity failing." She looked past him, down the collapsing conduit. "You must go, Cole. Take the Chimera agent. Get clear." "I'm not leaving you," Cole yelled back, straining against the immense weight of the beam. "Logic dictates," Xelira began, but her voice hitched in pain. Then, her eyes widened in alarm, looking not at him, but at something approaching from the direction of the breached lab. "Phantoms, behind you." Cole spun around. A phantom trooper, its armor shifting in the dim emergency lighting, stood at the edge of the collapsed section, rifle leveled directly at him. But it didn't fire immediately. It tilted its head, as if examining him. Then, a voice echoed in Cole's mind. Cold, alien, synthetic. Subject designation, Harren, Cole. Primary genetic sample required. Secondary operative Zarethian. Acceptable collateral loss. Surrender the Chimera agent and the primary sample will be extracted with minimal biological trauma. Primary sample. Cole realized with a sickening lurch, they weren't just after the agent. They were after him. His unique genetic profile, his adaptability, was what they truly wanted to harvest. The Chimera agent was just the tool, the key. Xelira wasn't the target, she was expendable. He looked back at Xelira, trapped and vulnerable. He looked at the phantom, impassive, waiting. He looked at the Chimera agent pouch still secured to his belt. He couldn't save himself and Xelira, not against the phantoms. But maybe. "No deal," Cole shouted, raising his pistol, not aiming at the phantom, but at the ceiling supports above it. Already weakened by the explosions, he fired rapidly, pouring energy into the stressed metal and rock. The ceiling groaned, then collapsed directly onto the phantom trooper, burying it in tons of debris. Cole didn't wait to see the result. Turning back to Xelira, adrenaline surging. "We're getting out of here," he grunted, finding new strength. Adrenaline overriding pain. He wedged himself under the beam trapping Xelira, using his back and legs, straining with everything he had. Slowly, agonizingly, the beam lifted just enough for her to pull her crushed leg free. She cried out in pain but stifled it quickly. We need to move. More will come. Cole helped her up, supporting her weight. Her leg was badly injured, useless. The geothermal vent, it's our only chance. He half carried, half dragged her deeper into the collapsing conduit network, following the structural map towards the power core. Behind them, they could hear the sounds of more phantoms moving through the debris. They were running out of time. They reached the main geothermal conduit chamber just as another explosion rocked the station, plunging the area into near-total darkness, save for the faint, ominous red glow emanating from the depths of the vent shaft below. The air was scorching hot, smelling strongly of sulfur. This way, Xelira gasped, pointing towards an emergency release valve designed to vent excess heat and pressure directly outside. If we can open it. Cole examined the valve control. Manual override, rusted shut. He holstered his pistol and put his shoulder into it, straining. It wouldn't budge. He could hear the phantoms getting closer. Xelira, despite her injury, reached out, her Zarethian fingers probing the mechanism. Plasma conduits, feeding the valve servos. If I can overload the relay, she focused, using tools integrated into her gauntlet, bypassing safety protocols. Sparks flew, with a groaning screech. The massive vent cover began to retract, revealing the swirling, incandescent chaos of the Beta Serpentis Nebula outside. A blast of superheated gas and nebula particles surged into the chamber. Now, Cole yelled, grabbing Xelira. He secured the Chimera agent pouch tightly, supporting her. He dragged them towards the opening, towards the fiery, uncertain escape into the nebula's heart, just as phantom troopers burst into the chamber, opening fire. Cole threw himself, and Xelira through the vent opening, tumbling out into the lethal beauty of open space, praying the nebula itself would hide them where ships and soldiers could not follow. They fell into the swirling clouds, leaving the doomed outpost Rhea and their pursuers behind, adrift in the swirling, electrically charged clouds of the Beta Serpentis Nebula. Cole activated the emergency beacon on his suit, hoping its directorate-specific frequency might eventually be picked up, while simultaneously trying to shield Xelira from the worst of the particle streams. Her suit was intact, but she was drifting in and out of consciousness, her leg injury severe. The nebula's interference played havoc with their suit communicators, reducing their range to mere meters. Xelira, stay with me, Cole urged, maneuvering closer, tethering their suits together. We made it out. We're clear of the station. Her eyes fluttered open, hazy with pain. Phantoms. They wanted you, Cole. Your genetics. I know, he said grimly. We'll figure that out later. Right now, we need to conserve oxygen and power. He checked her suit's biomonitor readings integrated into his HUD. Vital signs were dropping. The trauma and blood loss critical. Her Zarethian physiology was resilient, but not invincible. Xelira, your suit's medical synthesizer isn't stabilizing you. The injury is too severe. Internal, hemorrhaging. She managed to gasp. Standard coagulants, ineffective. Zarethian blood chemistry. Cole's blood ran cold. He couldn't fix this. They were alone, adrift, light years from any Zarethian medical facility, and she was dying. He looked down at the pouch containing the Chimera agent. An insane idea began to form, born of desperation. The agent targeted genetic weaknesses, triggering chaotic change, but it was based on harvesting adaptability, resilience. What if? What if it could be used differently? Not to harvest, but to stabilize. It was beyond reckless. Introducing an unstable mutagen into her already traumatized system could kill her instantly. But doing nothing was a death sentence anyway. He looked at her fading consciousness, at the vast, uncaring nebula around them. "Xelira," he said urgently, his voice tight. "Listen to me. I have an idea. It's crazy, maybe fatal, but it might be your only chance." He explained his desperate theory about the Chimera agent, about potentially using its adaptive triggering mechanism not destructively, but perhaps to stabilize her unique Zarethian biology against the trauma. She looked at him, her dark eyes searching his face through their visors. For a long moment, there was only the crackle of static and the swirl of nebula gas. Then, she gave the faintest nod. "Probability of survival, low. Without intervention, proceed." Cole, his hands shaking. Cole carefully opened the secure pouch. He accessed his suit's medical interface, extracting the tiniest possible sample of the Chimera agent, less than a microgram, using the suit's built-in analyzer to isolate what he hoped were the catalyst components, filtering out the aggressive instability factors as best he could with limited tools. It was battlefield biohacking at its most extreme. He interfaced his suit's medical injector with her suit's port. "Injecting now," he warned. He administered the minuscule, modified dose directly into her bloodstream. For a terrifying moment, nothing happened. Then, her body convulsed violently. Alarms shrieked from her biomonitor display. Her vital signs plummeted, then spiked erratically. Cole watched helplessly, his heart pounding. Convinced he had just killed her, the convulsions subsided, leaving her limp, frighteningly still. Her vital signs remained chaotic, but then, slowly, miraculously, they began to stabilize. The hemorrhaging indicators receded. Her breathing deepened, becoming more regular. The chaotic energy of the Chimera agent, instead of tearing her apart, seemed to have been rechanneled by her Zarethian biology, focusing its adaptive power on healing the immediate trauma, sealing the wounds from the inside out in a way human medicine couldn't. It wasn't a cure, but it was a reprieve. She lapsed into a deep, healing unconsciousness. Cole stared at her stabilized readings, relief washing over him, so profound it left him weak. It had worked. Somehow, it had worked. But he knew this was temporary, a dangerous patch, and the implications, using the agent, even in this modified way, might have unforeseen consequences for her. Days later, or perhaps weeks, time lost meaning in the nebula's drift. Cole's beacon was finally answered, not by the Directorate, but by a battered, independent freighter captained by a grizzled Orion smuggler named Grok, who owed Cole a life debt from years ago. Grok, grumbling about the insanity of entering the Beta Serpentis Nebula, cautiously navigated the hazards and pulled their drifting forms aboard his ship, the Stardust Drifter, Harren, by the Seven Hells. "What are you doing out here?" Grok bellowed, his green skin glistening under the ship's lights as Cole removed his helmet. "And who's your friend?" "Long story, Grok," Cole said wearily, helping carry the still unconscious Xelira to the ship's small medical bay. "We need help. Somewhere safe. Somewhere far from here." Grok eyed the sophisticated Zarethian tech visible on Xelira's suit, then looked at Cole's haggard face. He sighed, a sound like rocks grinding together. "Life debts are a pain. All right, I know a place. A forgotten moon in the Kepler Verge. No questions asked. Long as your credit is good, or," he added, eyeing the secured pouch Cole still carried, "long as whatever trouble you're in doesn't follow you too closely." Cole managed a weak smile. "The credit's good. Grok, just get us there." The journey to the Kepler Verge was long, giving Xelira time to slowly recover consciousness under the care of the Stardust Drifter's auto-dock, supplemented by Cole's careful monitoring. She was weak, her legs still badly damaged but healing unnaturally fast. The internal injuries stabilized by the lingering effects of the modified Chimera agent. When she was strong enough to talk, her first words were quiet, analytical. The agent, it altered me. Cole, I can feel it. My cellular regeneration rate is enhanced. The pain is negligible now. She looked at her hands, flexing her fingers. There are other changes, subtle, increased sensory input, faster processing. Cole felt a pang of guilt. I had no choice. Xelira, she met his gaze. And for the first time, he saw something beyond Zarethian logic in her eyes, understanding, perhaps even gratitude. You saved my life. Cole. Whatever the consequences, you made the logical choice given the probabilities. And you did not abandon me. They arrived at the Forgotten Moon, a desolate rock called Haven's Rest, home to a small, hidden settlement populated by exiles, refugees, and others seeking anonymity. Grok arranged for secure quarters and access to basic supplies, taking a hefty payment from Cole's emergency funds before disappearing back into the void, wishing them luck with a gruff warning to stay hidden. Their new base was Spartan, a cluster of prefabricated domes nestled in a deep canyon, shielded from orbital scans. Cole knew they couldn't stay hidden forever. The Phantoms, the Curator, the Directorate, the Zareth Conclave, someone would eventually pick up their trail. Their only hope was to fully understand the Chimera agent and perhaps find a way to neutralize its threat or even reverse its effects before they were found. We still need a proper lab, Cole said, looking around their temporary shelter. And resources. There might be someone here who can help, Xelira suggested, accessing local settlement data feeds she'd discreetly tapped into. An exiled human scientist, Dr. Nara Voss, specialized in xenogenetics and retroviral engineering, died disgraced. Living in seclusion here for the past decade. Dr. Voss. Cole vaguely remembered the name. Brilliant, controversial scientist, accused of unethical experiments involving cross-species gene splicing years ago. If anyone could help them understand and potentially counteract Chimera, it was her. Finding her wasn't easy. She lived alone, far from the main settlement, valuing her privacy. But Cole's persistence and the mention of a unique biological agent requiring urgent analysis eventually earned them an audience. Dr. Voss was older, her eyes sharp and skeptical behind thick glasses, her manner abrupt. She listened intently as they explained their situation, omitting sensitive details about the Phantoms and their pursuers, focusing on the Chimera agent's properties and Xelira's exposure. She examined Xelira, carefully canvass,